been a little bit over a year since I put out my first video ever on this channel, and in about my first 6-8 months I had less than 50 subscribers, so I really wasn't expecting to reach 1,000 subscribers in 1 year after such a slow start. So I am so surprised that I did, and I thank each and every single one of you who subscribed to this channel. Your subscription means a lot, and of course a very, very special thank you to my patrons. Your financial support means so much to me, and I can't express into words my gratitude. It takes time, it takes effort to put these videos together, and yes, sometimes it costs money, not only in equipment, but in my research videos sometimes I have to purchase pages that are behind a paywall. I work a lot of hours in order to be able to pay for, not only to make these videos, but of course support my normal expenses. So you guys helping me out, I have more time to do this stuff, so thank you very much for that. And if you can support me, if you like what I do, of course you can help me out. You don't have to do a subscription on Patreon. You can help me out on PayPal, or you can just subscribe to me. Subscribe to me, watch my videos. Once I get the threshold, I can monetize this channel and start making some money off ads as well. That will help me doing what I love to do, which is these videos. Now that leads to the topic of monetization, which is something I have asked you guys what to do. Now I really like Fragwit's suggestion about donating money to some cause. So that's what I will do. Once I can monetize this channel, it's still gonna take a while because I need a very high amount of watch hours that I still haven't reached. But once I do, I will monetize all content. I know that previously I said that I wouldn't, but I changed my mind on that because it's gonna help promoting my content. But the political videos, the videos that I don't feel comfortable monetizing, at the end, when I have a lump sum, I will make a poll to ask you guys what should I do with the money. And I am going to donate to something, and we will decide together where the money should go to. So I really appreciate your inputs, your suggestions. Thanks a lot. And I think Fragwit's suggestion is the best one on how to proceed with this. But thank you, all of you, for helping me out sorting this problem that I was facing. The reason why I took so long to do this video is because I am very, very busy at the moment. Like, I have work, I have my daytime job, I also am going to university, it's my last semester, I have a lot of assignments to put together, so I am pretty busy, and I am very sorry that I'm not putting as many videos out as I want to do it. I really appreciate your patience in this, because I understand that some of you might be a little bit upset with the new videos that I've been putting out. I hope not, but I would understand if some of you would, and be a little worried that this channel is becoming a drama channel or something because of my video about Twitter and my video about Essence of Thought. It's not the case at all. I really don't want this channel to become a drama channel, in no way. And my video about my Twitter ban was something I used to make a broader point about censorship in social media. I hope I was able to get that point across. And my video about Essence of Thought is something that I did because of what happened to Rachel Oates. Otherwise I wouldn't have done a video like that. It was a rant video. And as I said in that video, I'll be willing to enlist the video in the future, and I hope I will. But I will not enlist it until I am sure that Essence of Thought is going to back down. If Essence of Thought still keeps slandering people, still keeps their narrative, like their divisive narrative, and honestly still keeps saying things about me in public, and calling me token, calling me transphobic, or whatever else they're calling me this week, I will not take that video down. Now to the Q&A per se. So let's see first the questions that were asked me on here in the YouTube comment section. So the first question that I'm addressing is Ansi Ilari, sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, to tell about my personal history a little bit more. about what age I transitioned, why I left Brazil for Australia, and things, you know, more personal things. So I'm going to address one question at a time. So the first question was about what age I transitioned. Well, I started my transition when I was 25. And soon after I started, my brother died. So it was very, very difficult, especially for my parents, dealing with me transitioning and dealing with my brother's death. So I had to go easy, and it was a very slow transition in order for them to process all of those changes. But I've been struggling with let's say, my gender dysphoria since I was very young. I can't remember a time in my life where I didn't feel that dysphoria when I was a kid. Now, the dysphoria went away after I transitioned, but until then, when I was a kid, since forever, I always had to deal with this. And regarding the second question, why I came to Australia. Yeah, I like Australia. It's a nice country, nice people. I knew a few Australians on the internet. And I just took a gamble. I just came to Melbourne, not sure if I was going to like it or not. And I just fell in love with the city very, very quickly. And yeah, I just don't think about living anywhere else at the moment. So I'm very happy here. Jordan Larkin asked me a couple of questions. First question is, what are my thoughts on firearms and firearm regulations? Great question, because my perspective on this is a bit different. I come from a country that is very violent and has very strict gun laws. So it seems to me that strict gun laws are irrelevant if the state is not effective in putting them in place. Now I have a different perspective living in Australia, which is a country that has very strict gun laws and stopped mass shootings after those restrictions were put in place. Because here in Australia, the state has the power to make the regulations be put in place. They are effective, which is not the case in Brazil. So it really depends on a lot of things, and it depends a lot on culture as well. Brazil has a very violent culture. The culture of violence is just spread all over, while it's not the case here in Australia. It's a much more peaceful country. In America, it's a little bit more complicated for that cultural element, where you have gang violence being so much prominent in American culture. So I don't know what was going to be the case in America to tighten gun laws. I think gun control would help, but maybe wouldn't solve the problem. So I think in America, very similar to Brazil, culture plays a huge role, and gun laws are not going to solve everything. They probably would help, but not going to solve it. And Jordan Larkin's second question, what are my thoughts on Jordan Peterson, who activist claims is against the trans community? Well, Jordan Peterson has some very archaic and backward views on gender and sex. He is a self-proclaimed Freudian or Freudist or whatever. His Freudian perspective on these matters make him sexualize things that are not really so sexualized. So I think he just has some wrong views, but I wouldn't call the guy a transphobe, but some do. And regarding pronouns, I know a lot of people who don't agree with the whole pronouns thing, especially when it comes to gender neutral pronouns. And I agree with him that pronouns is not something to be enforced, and I don't think somebody should have any sort of punishment, like legal punishment, for using a wrong pronouns. So I have some agreements and some disagreements with Jordan Peterson on these issues, but overall I just think his views on gender and sex in general are a little bit backwards. Deconverted Man asked me a very deep question, so that will be interesting to address. What method do you use to decide if something is true or if you should be skeptical of it? Well, I am a Cartesian skeptic. That's how I better define my epistemology. So for me to believe that something is true, I use the Cartesian methods to define it in general terms, the 4 precepts of Descartes, and which basically is only accept something as true if I have good reason not to doubt it. If I have good reason to doubt it, I will not accept it as true. Mr. Bear asked me, which philosophy or justification have you come across that is the closest to proving God exists in your opinion? Well, that is a very good question, because I used to be a deist, and I used to be a Taoist for a while. I used to be really into Taoism, and I still think it's a good philosophy. Same thing with Hinduism. I think Hinduism has some very interesting perspectives on things. The very abstract notion of God that most, including Christian apologists, are using today, are arguments that the Taoists and Hinduists have been making for thousands of years. And you might say also is the Aristotelian argument for God. The idea of the prime mover, the idea that there is some force behind everything, the eternal or uncaused cause of everything. And I just remove the creator, and I believe that there is some sort of, this is going to sound really odd, but I'm going to address further in the future to explain it better, but some sort of quantum soup, some sort of soup of fundamental particles where everything started. And in that soup is timeless. It's not eternal, but it is timeless, because time is a consequence of movement. You can only measure time within a space. It's movement within space. That is what time is. So how fast things move between point A to point B. This is what we call time. And I do believe that there was a moment before that where we didn't have space-time, that fundamental particles existed in a timeless state. This is somewhat very, very similar to the Hinduist idea of their creation myth. So my views would be closer to that, but of course it's something I need to expand a little more. It's something I need to study a little more, because my knowledge of quantum mechanics is, of course, very, very shady. But I do see some interesting ideas coming from those philosophies. So I hope that answered the question. Princess April Van Lin asked me if me being trans has anything to do with my stance on religion. A little bit. It's something that I addressed in a stream as well about why I hate God. I address a little bit of that, but it's not so much. It's not so much. My thing with religion is the mentality. It's the religious mentality of accepting things as dogma where you cannot criticize it. And with my stream on anti-theism, why anti-theism matter, I address some of that. It's my position with religion, why I care about this, is because religion is often used to suppress speech. Religion is often used as excuse to persecute people because of what they believe and because of their lifestyle. So it's nothing, not necessarily to do with my personal experience, but it's more of a political issue that bothers me, especially because freedom of speech is my main flag, let's say. It's something that I believe is a very fundamental right and value that every society needs. And religion is often used to suppress that. So that's one of the main reasons why it bothers me so much. Now the questions that were asked me on Ask FM. So first question, what do you like watching on TV? Well, I don't really watch TV, but I do watch Netflix, and I haven't actually been watching that much, but I usually watch documentaries about nature, especially biology. I really love David Attenborough. I try to watch everything that he does. I also like action and sci-fi. I love The Expanse, for example. It's a great show. I recommend everyone to watch it. Sometimes I watch sports. I love watching the Australian Open when it happens every January. I like watching the Olympic Games, especially the Winter Olympics. I really like it. But most just these big events. I don't really follow any like sports league or anything like that. Another question, 3 things that you can't imagine right now. I can't imagine. What's your favorite hot drink? Coffee. I'm Brazilian. Fuck tea. Next question. If somebody was writing a book about you, what would be the title? I love that one. The title for that book would be The Woman Who Challenged God. I think that would be a great title for it. Does school grades really matter in real life? How? That is a real weird question. It depends on how you frame the question, really. School grades usually is a good indicator of that you are intelligent or that you are an applied person. So in that sense, yeah, it could be a good indicator of those things, but not necessarily. I was a shit student when I was a kid, and I think I turned out okay. I hope so. My mom thinks I'm cool.
My mom says I'm cool.
What do you look for in a friend? Authenticity. I would say loyalty, but by loyalty I would mean someone who doesn't stab me in the back. But most importantly are those things, like someone who doesn't stab me in the back and someone who is authentic, who is not a two-faced cunt. So basically these are the two things I look for in friends. What game would you like to play?
I want to play a game.
Okay, I'm gonna skip that one. What do you think can make a person's appearance attractive? Now this is something I will make a video about. Responding mostly to ContraPoint's videos on beauty, because I think she got some things right, I think she got some things wrong. So this is a topic for a whole video that I'm not going to address here, but good question. When you start considering a person an adult? Oh, that's an interesting one. Legally it's 18 years old, but you know, we all know that it's not the case with everybody. Some people are 50 years old and they're still children. Some people are presidents. They're pretty old and they are still not adults, so I guess that depends a lot. Now the last question is one I got on Twitter, which is whether I prefer to be addressed as a woman or as a trans woman. I don't like some of the narrative that tries to deny the difference between trans women and cis women. Now I do prefer to be generally just called a woman. I'm fine with that and I prefer that, but when it matters, I make sure to remember that I am a trans woman and to point out that I am a trans woman when it's relevant. I do understand that there is still a lot of prejudice in the world, and until I came on the internet and became public about being transgender, about being transsexual, I was very closed about this stuff. I only had revealed this to very few people because yeah, it can be uncomfortable, it can lead to prejudice and all these sorts of things. So in my case, since I am open and public, I don't care either way, but yeah, for convenience in most cases, just call me a woman and that's fine, that's better. Well, thank you for all the questions. This was fun. A very special thank you to my subscribers and a very special thank you to my patrons. I've been Sarah Michelle and thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Cheers.